Hello and welcome to this week's coffee vlog. I actually forgot for a moment then what I was doing. Oh, it's been one of those days. So hopefully Mr. Nellis's words of wisdom will pop through shortly. I'm not sure if they will or not. Yeah, let's probably get going. That might be a good start. It's 5:30. It's Friday the is it the 28th? Or the 29th of May, I can't remember, it's something. I've been out this afternoon in the van and I've now got to get used to the fact that the brakes on my car work where the van ones kind of don't very well. And also the clutch biting point's totally different, so it's always a bit jerky after I've been in the van trying to drive the car again. Been down to Myvenroyd with a 1 kilo Caffeimino roaster. Gentleman's purchased and put into a shed in his back garden, would you believe?
Warning, K-band, radar, check speed.
And it was way down in the middle of nowhere, like. Went down the street where the map said it should be. Ended up in some industrial units. I could see where I wanted to be, but there's 1 foot high step up to get there from where I was, which is rather annoying. So I had to go back out of that street onto the next one. Took you around a really, really long, rough track, complete and utter. Oh, it was just wow. And then. I had to back down an even narrower rough track in the van, which I don't drive very often, so I've not really got that much spatial awareness for it anyway. And of course it doesn't have any sort of sensors to tell you where anything is. And I was trying to swing round into this already narrow road, and sort of there was where I'd been before, there's also a little wall as well as that drop. It was only like a foot high wall, so I was having to hang out the van to see where the front was, so I wasn't catching the front of the van on that wall. And then there's another wall behind me to the right, so I'm trying to hang out to see that and work out that the van's not going to hit it. And I ended up having to do 8 like little forward-backward shunts between that wall and the little wall in front, and because I couldn't really see it, I didn't know if I was going to hit, with the front of the van, catch the wall, whether. Managed it in the end, it was a right job. And then he's built this shed in his back garden, so to build up the trolley for the roaster in his garden, and then put it in the trolley in his shed, and then wheel out, fortunately, because I got wheel trolley, fortunately. Wheel out the roaster because it weighs like 90 odd kilo. It's a nightmare. It's a hard struggle lift for 2 people. Really, you want 3 if you're going to be doing any sort of lifting with it. So wheeling it about is essential. But yeah, we managed to. There was a little step up in his garden, and then there's another step to get into the shed, so we had to sort of gingerly lift it on the trolley up, because they're quite top heavy as well, the roasters. They're not all the weight's badly distributed, so it's a wibbly wobbly thing that, and of course you don't really want it to fall off because it's kind of expensive and heavy. So managed to get it there in the end. Like I say, it was a bit of a struggle, to be honest, but we got there. And then lifted it over onto the trolley that it sits on, the Topa send for it, and unwrapped the bubble wrap, whatever, and job done. Hot day to be doing all that though, and in his shed it was hot. I was like, you're going to be toasty in here if you're roasting coffee in here, and it's like this. Well, want to put himself a fan or something in to cool himself down. So yeah, that was it, and it's been pretty busy, to be honest. Again, we've sold a lot of stuff. Today's been a little bit quieter, but you know, we're still seeing more places coming back, which is good. Did a load of roasting on Tuesday, ended up actually going back and forth between the 5 kilo and the 30 kilo, would you believe? So that was like massive amounts of roasting. Oh, what? Why is everyone parking in this spot? Yeah, let's park up round here. What? Sit about. It's quite busy. I think they've all disappeared now. Typical, isn't it? See if we can find Mr. Nellis, because it looks like he's got a few customers, so we'll maybe wait. Sure, I emailed myself your words, Mr. Nellis, but I don't appear to be getting them. So maybe we'll have to do the words afterwards. Right, now, I had to wear this as well. This didn't make it any cooler when I was messing about with that roaster, having to wear the face mask. So, do you like this one? No? No, it should be that one. Right, I've got the wrong way around, that's all. Still getting used to it, eh? That's the one. I'm going to get the right sticky bit in the right place. There you are, right there. We are masked up now, look at that. That's proper, isn't it? That's the mask and a half. Right, it does make you rather warm though. I'm going to go drop my parcels off while having my mask on. Finally, after all this time. Oh boy, right, see you in a bit. Okay, we are back from socially distanced parcel delivery, and now Mr. Nellis's words of wisdom for this week is: me as I've watched Toy Story 1 and Mortal Kombat. Ah, Mortal Kombat. You probably recognised me in my mask then. Me as I have been to Greenhead Park on Monday. Very good. Yes, they had an order delivered last week actually. The cafe there. Starting to do takeout only. John Suchet, as he will move to the evening on a weekday on Classic FM, which Alexander Armstrong is taking over John Suchet to do the 9 till 1 PM weekly show starting on Monday this coming week, which John Suchet has done his weekday show for 10 years. Coronavirus ones what? What class is Callum in? He's in a school class. I don't think he's going back Monday, I know that much. Me being Victor Meldrew, as pubs, restaurants and cafes can be open earlier than expected. Well, I don't know about that yet. We're all going to see, haven't we? Because it's a little bit dependent on what happens. And we've also had this week a hospital in Bristol had to shut, well, stop taking new patients, new people in, whatever you called it. Brain's having a bit of a fuzzball today. Yeah, had to stop new admissions because they've got a problem with coronavirus there, and turned out 40% of the staff at the hospital actually tested positive for coronavirus. So they'd actually managed, well, I mean, obviously someone had taken it in, but it could have well have been a patient or whatever. But yes, all the staff had ended up all catching it. So that's kind of a big problem. And, you know, opening anything up is just adding to that risk, isn't it? The more, because it's not so bad if it's, you know, a few people kind of isolated. It's not so much of an issue doing little things, people dropping off and delivering stuff, whatever else. But when you're getting big groups of people together, they're just all very, very likely to spread it to each other. You know, it only takes one in a group of 20, and then all 20 have got it. So, I don't know. Even trying to do like whole open restaurants, but everyone's going to be 2 meters apart. Well, I just don't see how it's going to work. You're never always going to be 2 meters apart, are you? And you can't exactly sit in a restaurant with a mask on and eat. It just doesn't work. So I don't know, really. I suppose we'll just see how it all progresses. But even if we do get some places like that opening up again, the other aspect of it is, you know, when we're going to get to October, when it starts getting cooler again and starting seeing rising numbers of cases, as happened before with Spanish flu and SARS. So I don't know, we'll just wait and see. So anyway, yes, Tuesday after the bank holiday, Monday day off, which I did have Monday off. I went to work Friday and not Friday, well I went Friday, yes, because it was work day. Saturday and Sunday,
30 miles per
and
hour.
then did some painting, used my new tools, compressed air tools, to do some spray painting. Actually, it worked really well. I was quite impressed. Although, it's a bit of an issue, it does cover everywhere in a fine dust-like mist of, obviously, very fine paint particles. But, you know, it just rubs straight off with a cloth, so it's like dusting stuff.
Warning, risk zone.
Kind of like, I wanted to be doing all that before the roaster came, but it's like a chicken and egg thing, because I wouldn't have had a spray paint gun. Well, I wouldn't have had the compressor prior to the roaster coming, because I needed the compressor for the roaster, and there was no point having it beforehand, because I didn't really have a need for it. But yes, and certainly I'll be doing a lot more with the spray paint gun, preferably well away from the roaster, so I'm not covering it again. I had to give it a rub down once, just to clear everything off. So I'll keep using it, but only sort of well away from the roaster. But it'll be good for covering large areas quickly, to be honest. And it's a lot easier for high up, like the ceiling and pillars and higher walls, because you don't have to go up and down with a tray or a pot of paint. One fill up of it, its canister does a real fair amount of coverage. So you can just hold the thing and spray away, paint a pretty big area before you then have to go and top up again with paint. So overall I was pretty impressed, to be honest, you know, and it was a real cheap kit. I mean, I've got to admit, probably if I got a decent sort of quality made sprayer, it might not make as much dusty mess, as it were, because I did get the cheapest of cheap kits I could find on eBay. But you know, it does the job, because I'm not looking for an amazing quality finish. I just want to make everywhere look less grotty and kind of clean and hygienic. So it's doing that very, very well, so I'm quite pleased. So Tuesday, loads of roasting to do, and like I say, I was actually had both roasters on. I had the little one on, the 5 kilo, and the big 30. Did 4 batches through the 30, and 5 through the 5 kilo. So there's a lot of roasting. Kind of tricky, because you're going to make sure, I had to make sure that they weren't going to finish or get to the point of finishing at the same time, because you know, towards the end of the roast you've got to be there and decide at the exact point when you've got, you know, the colour of roast that you want for the coffee. Then you need to drop it to cool. And yeah, I had to make sure, because obviously I couldn't be at both at the same time, so I had to make sure I phased when they were going in, so that they weren't finishing at the same time. But yeah, other than that, it worked pretty well. The only drawback I had with that was I had to do Cattle Market Espresso big roast of that on the new roaster, and that really did show through that my problem with the ducting being too long, and probably also being running too horizontal before going vertical. Because I did get a lot of smoke in the general warehouse and everywhere else. Because the Cattle Market Espresso obviously is a darker roast. It goes into second cracks. It's the first time I've tried a darker roast with the big one, and yeah, it was pretty smoky. So that kind of like put paid to the plans of maybe I won't have to buy an intermediate fan to help pull the smoke out. So I had to buy an intermediate fan. So yeah, yesterday afternoon I was way out on the roof taking off the top stack so I could fit in the middle of it a fan. So I've then run the twin and earth power lead from out there into the warehouse, run along down, and it will terminate next to where I am next to the roaster. So you have a feed to a control box, which you have to buy separate, of course, and come with a fan. And but that control box will allow variable speed. You see, if I just wanted one speed of fan, it would be fine. I could just buy the fan. But the fan's 1695 meters cube per hour, and the roaster is 1200 meters cube per hour. So I can't just have it on stock setting, because it would be sucking air too quick for the roaster, and the roaster wouldn't work right. So I've got the variable speed adjuster, which I can have next to the roaster once I've run the power lead there. So there's the control feed from that, and then I'll have another lead from that then going to tap into my power supply, which is the same. I'm using the same one. I run the double sockets and single socket from, and I'll just tap into that up above and run a feed down. So with the variable speed control, what I'm going to be able to do is we're going to be gridlocked here, because I want to go in there, he wants to come out there, the bus is coming out of there. I've got to match the speed of that fan to the roaster draw. Oh, where's he going now? Why? Right, we're good. We're good. Match the speed on using the controller, or just keep adjusting it and work out the exact point. I've got the same amount of pull. The way you do that, the easiest way to do it, is you remove the sample spoon that you check the roasted coffee with to see the colour, and then you hold a lighter in front of the hole, and the angle that the flame gets pulled at into the drum is your airflow of the roaster. So with no intermediate fan on, you can check the angle it goes at, then put the intermediate fan on and see if it changes, and if it's, you know, further down, or it won't be less down really, because that would mean it was blocking it, then you can adjust the speed until you get the right setting. So yeah, all good. Right, I'm doing some shopping, so I'm going to call it a day there. Have a good weekend and week next week. I'll see you in next week's coffee vlog. Okay.